Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addresses Rajya Sabha on Operation Sindoor, says India has been able to put terrorism on the global agenda. Big diplomatic victory for India as UNSC monitoring report flags TRF's role in Pahalgam terror attack. Gujarat anti-terrorism squad arrests 30-year-old woman from Bengaluru for her alleged links to Al-Qaeda. NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar or NISAR all set for launch from India's Sriharikota satellite capable of all-weather 24/7 mapping of Earth. Tsunami alert across the Pacific region after 8.8 earthquake strikes Russia's Far East. Alarm sounded in Japan, US and many South American and East Asian nations. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has asserted that India had sent a clear and firm message through Operation Sindoor. He was addressing Rajya Sabha debate on Operation Sindoor. He emphasized on the major steps taken by India in response to the Pahalgam terror attack.
The first clear message, sir, of India's anger, of our resolve, of our determination, was the decision taken by the Cabinet Committee on Security immediately, the day after, on 23rd of April. A number of steps were taken. Pakistani visas under SARC were cancelled. The mission was reduced in strength. The military advisors were expelled. But the most important decision was to hold the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance.
Dr. Jaishankar said India during the last 10 years has been able to put terrorism on the global agenda. He added that whether it is BRICS, SCO, Quad or at the bilateral level, if terrorism is on the global agenda, it is due to Modi government.
We have been able to put terrorism on the global agenda. We have every forum, BRICS ho, Quad ho, SCO ho, bilateral ho. Today, if terrorism is on the global agenda, it is due to the efforts of the Modi government. We were able to get Masood Azhar and Abdul Rahman Makki, two notorious terrorists, placed under the sanctions of the UN Security Council 1267. We were able to hold a Security Council meeting at the venue of terrorism attack, that is the Taj in Mumbai. That event had a huge impact about global consciousness on terrorism. We were able, through bilateral agreements and understandings, get back terrorists from key countries who have been sent back to India under extradition agreements.
And Dr. Jaishankar said India has given the same message to all the countries that India is not open to mediation and will not accept nuclear blackmail.
When Operation Sindoor commenced, a number of countries were in touch with us. And to all the countries, we gave the same message. We gave the message that India is exercising the right to defend itself. We gave a message, sir, that we were not open to any mediation, that anything now between us and Pakistan would only be bilateral. We gave a message that we will not accept nuclear blackmail, that whatever talk there may be about nuclear danger, that will not deter us from going ahead with Operation Sindoor. We gave a message that we are now responding to Pakistani attacks and we will keep responding, and if that fighting is to stop, Pakistan must make a request, and that request can only come through the channel of the DGMO.
The minister said no world leader had asked India to stop Operation Sindur, contrary to suggestions made in the opposition's attack.
There was no leader, nobody anywhere in the world who asked India to stop its operations. There was no linkage of trade in any of those conversations, and there was no call between Prime Minister and President Trump.
And hitting out at Congress leaders' comments, Dr. Jaishankar drew a comparison between Congress normal and the Modi normal. He said the Modi normal is that terrorists are not proxies and cross-border terror will get appropriate response in our way at our own time.
There are two normals. There is a Congress normal, which I spoke about, and there is a Modi normal. The Modi normal is terrorists are not proxies. Number two, cross-border terrorism will get appropriate response in our way at our time. If there are talks, it will only be about terror. Number four, we will not give in to nuclear blackmail. And number five, terrorism and good neighborliness cannot go together. And therefore, sir, blood and water will not flow together.
Moving on, in a major breakthrough by the Indian Army in Jammu and Kashmir, a successful anti-infiltration operation was carried out this morning under Operation Shiv Shakti. Alert troops eliminated 2 terrorists attempting to infiltrate across the line of control after a suspected movement was observed along the fence in the general area of Poonch sector of Jammu Division this morning, following which synergistic and synchronized intelligence inputs from India's own intelligence units and police were used to lead a successful operation. 3 weapons were recovered and the operation is still in progress. Notably, the Poonch encounter comes 2 days after 3 terrorists involved in the Pahalgam attack, which left 26 civilians dead, were killed in an encounter near Srinagar. Home Minister Amit Shah told the Parliament during a debate on Operation Sindur on Tuesday that 3 terrorists killed in Operation Mahadev, Suleiman, Afghani and Gibran are the perpetrators of heinous Pahalgam attack. In a major success for India's efforts in getting the Resistance Front terror group sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council, its monitoring committee has officially mentioned TRF in its latest report. According to the report, TRF had published a photo of the Pahalgam terror attack site, an incident that has drawn widespread international concern. The committee also referenced claims suggesting the attack could not have occurred without the support from Pakistan-based terror outfit Lashkar-e-Toiba. The report issues a broader warning that terrorist groups may exploit regional tensions, underlining the urgent need for proactive counter-terror measures. The report added that regional relations remain fragile, saying there is a risk that terrorist groups may exploit these regional tensions. It also noted that one member state rejected these views and said that LET was defunct. India had briefed the committee earlier this year in April and May, highlighting TRF's growing footprint and its operational links to LET. Notably, on July 18, the US Department of State designated TRF as a foreign terrorist organization and as a specially designated global terrorist. And for more, DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us live from New Delhi. Akshay, what are the implications of the TRF being sanctioned by the UNSC?
Well, the 1267 Sanctions Committee, that is the 1267 ISIL Sanctions Committee, as well as the Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee, where the TRF has been named an outfit of the Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist group that operates from Pakistan, is a major diplomatic victory. And you know how we can say this is a major diplomatic victory is because the last time TRF's name was omitted from the Sanctions Committee report, the Foreign Minister of Pakistan had boasted this thing in their parliament itself, that with the efforts of the Pakistani government and their diplomats, the name of TRS has been omitted from the sanctions committee list. That happened now, and that perhaps is the reason why there is a lot of tension as far as Pakistani regime is concerned about the country once again slipping into the grey list. Now the 1267 sanctions committee is in fact monitored by the UNSC. The empty reports are given and observed by the United Nations Security Council. It can be adopted by the UNSC as well, and that perhaps will be a long way in sending Pakistan back to the FATF grey list, where all the finances of the country, all the transfers of the country, especially when it comes to the finances of these terror outfits, that will be monitored and controlled in a major way. And if it continues, that downgrades the country's foreign not only foreign policies but also financial institutions, that again tainted once again of the country falling into the grey list. So that has proved to be quite useful earlier in the past when Pakistan was in the FATF grey list, and ever since it has come out, we have seen the uptick in the number of terror attacks, not only against India but against other neighbors as well, against international terror outfits, continuously getting more and more support from the countries, from Pakistan's secret service agency like ISI to the Pakistani government and the military as well. So the situation is being monitored by India. It's a diplomatic win, but the efforts are going to go a long way when it comes to putting these terror outfits in a sanctioned list, and putting sanctions on not only these terrorists but also once again putting Pakistan's government in the grey list of the FATF, perhaps even the blacklist in the future if the terror attacks continues to emanate out of the Pakistani soil.
But for now, these developments, Akshay, a big setback for Pakistan that acts as a safe haven for terrorists.
Absolutely, it's a setback, but from one thing, from experience, we have learned that it's a country that doesn't learn from history. It's a country that keeps on insisting on repeating the same history and ends up hurting itself. So the situation as far as Pakistan's government is concerned is of confusion and is of, in a way, terror in itself, given the fact that India's diplomatic outreach, India's efforts to highlight the role of Pakistani government, especially in all of this chaos that is going on in South Asia, has to find accountability and responsibility, and now this accountability and responsibility is finally getting pinned on the Pakistani government. So yes, it's a big setback for them.
Akshay, thank you for those updates. On Tuesday, Indian Army and UAE land forces held the 4th Army-to-Army staff talks in New Delhi. The discourse between both the nations focused on deepening bilateral cooperation through joint exercises, expert-level exchanges, and strengthening the collaboration across diverse domains. With the announcements of the new avenues for partnership in explosive ordnance disposal, urban warfare, and unmanned ground and aerial systems were also explored, reaffirming the commitment to shared security objectives and capability enhancement. Still to come on DT India News Hour. UK says it will recognize Palestinian state unless Israel substantive steps and agrees to a ceasefire in Gaza. Kremlin takes note of Trump's new ultimatum of 10 days deadline for Moscow. Australia to include Alphabet-owned YouTube in its world-first ban on social media for teenagers. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. A powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake that hit off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula early on Wednesday triggered 13-foot tsunami waves and sparked evacuation orders across the Pacific Ocean region. The US Geological Survey said the earthquake was shallow at a depth of about 19.3 kilometers and was centered 119 kilometers east-southeast of Petrovsk, Kamchatsky. It revised the magnitude up from 8 earlier and reported a strong aftershock of magnitude 6.9 soon after. The Regional Seismic Monitoring Service said the quake was the strongest since the year 1952. Tsunami warnings have been issued for multiple nations across the Pacific and the US Pacific coasts, as well as Japan, Russia and China, Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia, Hawaii, Alaska and New Zealand have issued tsunami alerts. Tsunami warnings were also issued for Ecuador, Peru and Mexico. In Russia, the earthquake off the country's east coast have damaged some buildings. Tsunami waves began arriving, with several hitting the Severo-Kurilsk region that has declared a state of emergency. Videos show water rushing between buildings, damaging industrial infrastructure and sweeping away large debris. Meanwhile, in Japan, tsunami waves have already hit many parts of the east coast, from northernmost island of Hokkaido to much of the main island, Honshu. Nearly 2 million people were advised to evacuate, and many left by car or on foot to higher ground. In Hawaii, coastal residents were told to get to high ground or the fourth floor or above of the buildings, and the US Coast Guard ordered ships out of harbors as tsunami approached. And for more on the tsunami situation, our RT correspondent Umama Ishar gets us this report from Russia.
A strong earthquake with a magnitude of 8.7 was recorded off of the coast of Kamchatka in eastern Russia, and it's now included in one of the most powerful earthquakes in the world and the region's most destructive one since 1952. The epicenter of the shock was around 100 kilometers offshore at a depth of 17 kilometers. No casualties have been recorded, but seismologists also warn of possible aftershock with magnitudes of 7.5 in the coming weeks. All morning, between 5 and 6 point earthquakes have been recorded. And once the earthquake struck, tsunami waves have been traveling away from the epicenter with 800 kilometers an hour. In Kamchatka, we've also seen footage of doctors continuing a surgery amid the earthquake. According to the region's governor, they would be given a state award. Some of the biggest damages that were done were on the regional fisheries on the coast that got swamped with water, as well as some residential buildings, and one kindergarten was partially collapsed. Again, no casualties have been recorded. Now, in Japan, it's also been reported that over 900,000 people were told to evacuate, where waves up to 40 centimeters were recorded. To the United States in the islands of Hawaii. Tsunami warnings were also heard, and the first waves triggered by the earthquake reached the island chain, measuring about 1.5 meters in some of the islands. We are looking towards the west coast of the United States as well, where the effects are expected to be smaller, with waves measuring less than 1 meter. But this is what we have on the situation as of now.
And Hawaiian authorities urged residents to evacuate low-lying coastal areas on Tuesday after a powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula triggered tsunami warnings across the Pacific. Amid the warnings, authorities have called for caution, urging residents to remain calm and act quickly.
Our number one priority is life safety. And so right now it's an easy thing. Get away from the beaches, get inland and get upward. So that's our message right now. If you do live in an area that's within a tsunami area, first and foremost, go to a friend's house, go to a neighbor's house, go to your workplace, but go inward and upward out of the tsunami area.
The Consulate General of India in San Francisco is monitoring the potential tsunami threat following the recent magnitude 8.8 earthquake of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. Indian nationals in California, other U.S. West Coast states and Hawaii are advised to take the following steps. Follow local alerts, carefully monitor alerts from U.S. authorities, including local emergency management and the U.S. tsunami warning centers. Move to higher ground if tsunami alert is issued. Avoid coastal areas. Prepare for emergency and keep devices charged. Emergency helpline numbers +1 415 483 6629 or reach through email on inquiry at sf@mea.gov.in. Russia has taken note of US President Donald Trump's shortened deadline for Moscow to end the conflict with Ukraine. On Tuesday, US President Trump said his 10-day deadline for Moscow is in effect, cutting short the 50-day timeline he announced a couple of weeks ago. In response, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said it has taken note of Trump's statement and its special operation in Ukraine continues. Earlier, Deputy Chairman of the Russian Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, said on X platform that Trump is playing the ultimatum game with Russia, noting that each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed Trump's statement after the US president said he would cut the 50-day deadline he set for Russia to 10 days. Zelensky said that Ukraine is ready to work as productively as possible with America to work with President Trump to end this conflict with dignity and lasting peace. In other news, UK has warned Israel on Tuesday that it will formally recognize the state of Palestine in September unless Israel takes various substantive steps, including agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza. The potentially landmark move, part of the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's plan for a lasting peace, came after the British leader recalled his cabinet from recess for urgent talks on the worsening situation in the besieged territory. United Kingdom Prime Minister said Israel must end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution.
Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state. But right now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act.
Israel, however, has rejected the UK move, arguing it constitutes a reward for Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that PM Starmer has rewarded Hamas monstrous terrorism and punishes its victims. He said a jihadist state on Israel's border today will threaten Britain tomorrow. Britain, if it acts, would become the second Western power on the UN Security Council to do so after France last week. A massive wildfire near Aroca in northern Portugal is burning through steep forested hills, inching closer to Castelo de Paiva. Over 750 firefighters, over 200 trucks and 9 aircraft are battling flames that are opening multiple fronts and proving hard to contain. With temperatures soaring and land drying fast, at least 10 major wildfires are burning across the country, raising serious concerns. Experts say climate change may be making summers harsher, turning ordinary fire seasons into dangerous emergencies. In the southern Mediterranean region, Tunisia is gradually succumbing to coastal erosion, which has rapidly eaten away its coastline, threatening both livelihoods and heritage. According to World Bank report, more than 35% of Tunisia's beaches have undergone erosion, with some areas losing up to 8 meters annually. This worsening crisis is shrinking beaches and endangering lives of those who depend on tourism, fishing and agriculture, With over 60 islands at risk of submersion and farmland becoming increasingly saline, the effects are spreading while locals are attempting to fight back with repairs and seawalls. Experts warn Tunisia could lose up to 2.8% of its GDP each year if the damage continues unchecked. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese reassured parents on Wednesday as he announced the government will add YouTube to sites covered by its world's first ban on social media for teenagers, reversing an earlier decision to exempt the Alphabet-owned video sharing site and potentially setting up a legal challenge. The decision came after the internet regulator urged the government last week to overturn the YouTube carve-out, citing a survey that found 37% of minors reported harmful content on the site. Details of how the laws will be implemented are set to be presented to Parliament on Wednesday, with the ban due to take effect from December. The government had previously indicated YouTube would be exempt given its widespread use in classrooms. Australia announced last year it was drafting laws that will ban children from social media sites such as Facebook, TikTok and Instagram until they are 16.
We want Australian parents and families to know that we've got your back. We know this is not the only solution and there's more to do, but it will make a difference.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Pope Leo, the current head of the Catholic Church and successor to Pope Francis, made a surprise appearance at the Jubilee of Youth 2025 event. He greeted thousands of young Catholics gathered at St. Peter's Square for a welcome mass. In his address, Pope Leo called the attendees the light of the world. Notably, over 500,000 young Catholics are expected to travel to Rome for the celebrations, which are considered one of the Church's most important events. A locust outbreak has hit Zaporizhia villages in southern Ukraine, devastating crops and sparking concern among farmers. Officials linked the surge to soaring temperatures in abandoned farmlands near conflict zones. Locals report struggling with limited pest control, while experts cite the Kakhovka Dam collapse and continued fighting as factors driving the infestation spread. Still to come on DD India News Hour. We talk about the Operation Sindur and India's fight against terrorism. India-Nepal boundary matters reviewed at two-day 7th India-Nepal Boundary Working Group meet in New Delhi. India delivers fresh consignment of critical medical aid to Syria.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. A land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. From religious sites to charming villages and vibrant streets. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addresses Rajya Sabha on Operation Sindur, says India has been able to put terrorism on the global agenda. Big diplomatic win for India as UNSC monitoring report flags TRF's role in Pahalgam terror attack. Gujarat anti-terrorism squad arrests a 30-year-old woman from Bengaluru for her alleged links to Al-Qaeda. tsunami alert across the Pacific region after 8.8 earthquake strikes Russia's Far East. Alarm sounded in Japan, US and many South American and East Asian nations. In a major breakthrough, the Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad ATS has arrested a 30-year-old woman from Bengaluru for her alleged links to Al-Qaeda. Sama Parveen, described as a highly radicalized operative, was nabbed following intel gathered after the arrest of 4 AQIS-linked terrorists on July 23rd. Gujarat Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi said Parveen operated through an online terror model, that Pakistani links have been traced through her seized devices.
गुजरात ATS ने अल-कायदा इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट के पहले 4 आतंकियों को गिरफ्तार किया है। कल एक और बड़ी सफलता गुजरात ATS को प्राप्त हुई है। एक महिला जो बेंगलुरु से है, ये आतंकी खास तौर पे हाईली रेडिकलाइज है, ऑनलाइन टेरर मॉड्यूल पे काम करती हैं। उसके बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पाकिस्तानी संपर्क भी उसके अलग अलग डिवाइसेस से मिले हैं।
And India correspondent Meghna Dev joins us live from Ahmedabad. Meghna, what details can you share with us on the ATS operation and the arrest of the woman with alleged Al-Qaeda links?
Yes, this woman, Shubhendu, belongs to Jharkhand, and it's the past 3 years she was living in Bengaluru with her brother. The anti-terrorist squad Gujarat team went to Bengaluru, coordinated with central agencies as well as the state police in Bengaluru, and with coordinated efforts were able to arrest this woman. Now, what we get to know prima facie the investigation, because she's just got this transit remand and will be further taken for questioning. But prima facie, what we get to understand that she used her multiple Instagram accounts, which were quite popular, had a number of followers, and she used to propagate agenda, radicalize the youngsters, as well as she had Facebook pages like Strangers of the Nation and multiple pages from the same name. And she used to disseminate jihadi speeches by the Al-Qaeda Indian subcontinent leaders like Maulana Asim Umar. The content that she used to post called for armed revolution against the government of India, spread religious hatred, as well as also incite terrorist attacks. So this is what she used to do with her social media accounts. Now she has also been posting content of jihadi statements on different social media accounts, also inciting Indian Muslim youth to carry out religious violence against non-believers, as they call them, kafirs. What I also get to understand from the ATS team is that she had also posted a video of Lahore's Lal Masjid's Maulana Abdul Aziz, wherein he was encouraging Muslims to spread armed struggle to overthrow the Indian government and spread hatred in the country. So based on these kind of evidences, the ATS has arrested her and also confiscated all her electronic devices. And from the initial probe, which were done on the electronic devices like her cell phone and other, on her social media accounts, they get to understand that there are handlers based in Pakistan. She had links to Pakistan and Pakistan-based such people who are, who are trying to spread religious hatred here, incite violence, also misguide Indian youth, specifically Muslim youth for that matter. So this is something that prima facie has come out in the initial investigation. Though there is this transit remand that has been achieved by the anti-terrorist squad and further investigation will take place, this lead was obtained from the previous arrest that was made, the 4 people who have been arrested from Ahmedabad, Modasa, Noida and Delhi. So, they told the investigators that they had been able to download the content from this woman named Shala Parveen. So this is the current information that we have. But definitely, as the DIG of the anti-terrorist squad tells us that still the probe is going on, and a number of social media accounts that have been operating this kind of online terror module that has been operating is under scrutiny and is under surveillance.
Meghna, thank you for joining us with those updates. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while speaking in Lok Sabha on Tuesday, called Pahalgam terror attack height of cruelty. During special discussion on Operation Sindur, Prime Minister highlighted India's global outreach. Some of the important points Prime Minister said that India will respond to terrorists on its own terms. For special discussion on Operation Sindur, Prime Minister said nuclear blackmail of any kind will no longer be tolerated. We're looking at some of the key statements by PM. India will not distinguish between terrorist sponsors and terror masterminds. Prime Minister said India received global support for its actions during Operation Sindur. PM also said no global leader objected to India's operations. Out of 193 member nations of the UN, only 3 issued statements in support of Pakistan. And support from France, Russia, Germany, groupings like BRICS and Quad also stood with India. International community, Prime Minister said, stood in strong support with India. We turn to our main story and take forward our conversation on the success of Operation Sindur. Joining me now is defense expert, retired Major General Sanjay Soy. Good evening and welcome, General Soy. In the context of what Minister S. Jaishankar earlier said in Rajya Sabha, how well has India been able to put a shape of global narrative against terrorism?
Thank you so much, Shubhendu, for inviting me. In fact, I would say that Operation Sindur is one of the remarkable operations which we have carried out, and this has been carried out on all fronts. While the armed forces displayed their professional acumen by attacking, carrying on pinpoint attack on terrorist bases, and subsequently breaking the back of Pakistan air defense system and their air force and their airports. And at the same time, the diplomatic offensive or diplomatic ties were also utilized across the globe, which speaks volumes of the years of efforts which have been put in by the Prime Minister, External Affairs Ministry, and our team, our High Commissioners across the globe, and our Indian living across the globe. Everybody has contributed, and that is the reason that today India commands huge respect in the world. We are considered as a neutral country, we are considered as a growing country, we are considered as a developed country, we are considered as a cultured country, and we are also considered a country which can be relied upon during the crisis. That is the reason that the kind of support which Prime Minister also mentioned, that out of 193 countries, only 3 countries supported Pakistan, rest of the world has supported India, our actions. And one more thing, which I would like to highlight, Shubhendu, is that the strength of our democracy was witnessed by the world when we sent all party delegations to different parts of the world. That it is not only government officials or government ministers who have gone. So that has also highlighted that it is so transparent, our systems are transparent, we are open to everything, and we are open to suggestions. And same thing was witnessed during daily briefings by our people after every day during the operations in the morning and evening. Shubhendu.
Right. General Soy, also India's action against terrorists and terrorism continues. In that context, what does the UNSC sanctions, the latest ones against TRF for Pahalgam attack, mean for India's fight against terror?
Absolutely, Shubhendu. In fact, this is, I would say, again a great diplomatic victory for India. And I think it punctured the Pakistan claim, like they were harping on, they were claiming that they did not let the name of TRF come in the statement by the UN. So while the TRF has also been banned by the United States, and this is yet another step towards that TRF, and it also shows that the linkages of Pakistan, that why Pakistan was trying to shield TRF, why Pakistan was trying to remove the name of TRF from the list. So the whole world now understands that the linkages of any terror activities ultimately lead to Pakistan, and this has been proved not once but many times. But however, unfortunately, Shubhendu, I would like to say as a soldier and as an Indian, that some of our politicians do not believe this. They still question that from where the terrorists had come. Are you sure they had come? They were supported by Pakistan. Are you sure they are being killed? Are you sure that what actions are taken by the... I mean, the trust factor on the armed forces, I feel deeply hurt that when these kind of questions are asked during the session and in the media or in social media. So I think there are certain matters where the whole country should remain one and should remain united. This is one when the whole world is supporting us, whole world understands us. Within us also, we have to have a rethink, Shubhendu.
And despite these challenges, General, significant breakthrough for India's security forces against the perpetrators of Pahalgam attack and with operations like Mahadev and Shiv Shakti.
Absolutely. Because while we had carried out Operation Sindoor, where the supporters and perpetrators of terrorists were killed, however, I think killing of these terrorists was very, very important because you see the kind of weapon system which was fought by them. With them, they could have carried out another attack, another killing. So each such killing, killing of terrorists who are anti-humanity, anti-India is very, very important. And this was a great success. I would say I have served 7 times in Jammu and Kashmir, and I feel that because these operations are very tough. They carried jungles are vast jungles, almost 100-kilometer vast jungle, and this is the video which you are showing. The thick jungle, thick bushes, and there is no identification by the terrorist. We do not know whether he's a villager or a terrorist. And so it is a combination of intelligence, joint operations by Army, Rashtriya Rifle, CRPF, Jammu and Kashmir Police, and intelligence. Then only we are able to gain this success. It shows that we are not going to leave any terrorist on the soil of Jammu and Kashmir who are bent upon to spoil the peaceful atmosphere in Kashmir. The people of Kashmir also do not want. I must compliment the people of Kashmir also through your channel that they have also provided valuable information because they are fed up of these kind of activities which is derailing their economic growth, which is derailing their peace process, which is derailing the growth of next generation. They do not want their next generation to become terrorists. They want their next generation to become teacher, engineer, doctor. So I think hats off to people of Kashmir also who have been providing valuable inputs and support to the security forces. Shubhendu.
And so finally, earlier in his address in the Lok Sabha, Prime Minister Narendra Modi flagged India's new red lines against terror, the new normal. What is the kind of message being sent to the adversary and the world at large from India?
Yes, India's stand, Shubhendu, has always been fight against terror. We have always been against terror. Even in case of Hamas and Palestine, you see, we are against Hamas, but we supported Palestine. Here, the message of Prime Minister was very clear that we will respond in our own terms. And he had done so. They had given the political leadership, had given free hand to armed forces. They said, do select your time, select your place, and make your own plan. That is the best thing which, as a soldier, I feel I can expect from my leadership. Because if there is no political restriction on the plan, that makes it wonderful. And that is why the Operation Sindoor was so successful. Within 22 minutes, we were able to destroy these people. And the second thing is that it also gives a message to the perpetrators or the supporters of terrorism that they will be taken care of. There is no place where these terrorists can hide, and wherever they are, they would be taken care of and adequate punishment would be given. This is also a message to the world that we know not only talk, we act, we take action. So that, I think, this is a very clear-cut message to win.
Right. On that note, Major General Sanjay Soy, thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour and sharing your perspective. The 7th meeting of the India-Nepal Boundary Working Group concluded in New Delhi on Tuesday. During the two-day meeting, both sides reviewed progress of work done subsequent to the last BWG meeting held in August of 2019. The two sides jointly adopted updated modalities for inspection, repair and maintenance of boundary pillars along the India-Nepal boundary and agreed to expedite work in this regard using latest technologies. The BWG meeting also finalized the work plan for the next 3 years. It was agreed that next survey official committee meeting would be held soon in Nepal on mutually agreed dates. India's humanitarian outreach to Syria continued with delivery of fresh consignment of critical medical aid. The Ministry of External Affairs said India handed over a consignment of 5 metric ton of essential life-saving medicines, including anti-cancer, antibiotics and anti-hypertensives to Syria. The gesture is part of India's ongoing efforts to provide relief and medical assistance to conflict-affected regions and underscores New Delhi's commitment to extend support during humanitarian crisis. Moving on, in just a few hours, a historic moment in space exploration will unfold at India's Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota. After the successful Axiom 4 mission, the next space mission, NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar or NISAR satellite, is set to be launched today at 1740 IST aboard ISRO's GSLV F-16 rocket. NISAR will scan the entire globe every 12 days, providing high-resolution, all-weather, day and night data. It can detect even subtle changes in Earth's surface like ground deformation, ice sheet shifts and vegetation dynamics. The mission will support many critical applications, including sea ice monitoring, ship detection, storm tracking, soil moisture changes, surface water mapping and disaster response. A milestone marks an over a decade of collaboration between ISRO and NASA. Indeed, India's Jaya Singh joins us live from Sriharikota with more. Jaya, take us through the preparations at place for this historic launch.
Well, the countdown began yesterday at 2 hours 10 minutes in the afternoon, and the 27.5 hours countdown is progressing very smoothly. Now it has reached a very crucial point. From now on, the whole process would be automated. So the service tower will be withdrawn. Hereafter, the whole process will be manned by the robotic systems. Now all the systems results are being announced here in the control center, and the results are all very encouraging. They are all on stream. So actually the preparations went on for over a decade between NASA and ISRO. Though both the countries of USA and India are geographically, separated by half the earth, the coordination has been immense to the point of preparing a satellite, a system, a synthetic aperture radar system, the biggest one in the history in civilian use for the whole nation, for the whole world, not only India and US. The results of this satellite will be for free usage all across the world for all scientific communities and all those who are amateur observationists of the earth. Any subtle movement to the point of 1 centimeter within a gap of 12 days can be easily detected. We know all that several of our hilly tracts are prone to landslides. So 12 days ago, what was the position, and today, after 12 days, what is the position? This can be easily detected by the huge amount of data, some 80 terabytes of data every day. This is very humongous, gigantic, magnitude of data from which we can analyze and even foresee what is going to happen in the next few days if there is any landslide in the making. So not only landslide, now climate change is being discussed very hotly across the globe. So for study of climate change, like melting glaciers, formation of new lakes glacier lakes, any possibility of glacier burst, such things can also be detected. There will be two bands, short wave S band provided by ISRO and the long wavelength L band provided by NASA. These are capable both together can uncover three-dimensional data every day, once a single point once every 12 days. So this will be a great boon for our disaster management authorities as well.
Jaya, appreciate you taking us through those details. Thank you. The National Payments Corporation of India is set to implement a set of changes to the Unified Payments Interface or UPI from August 1st this year. The changes, including balance check and transaction status, are aimed at making the interface stable and efficient. Now, these changes include the new UPI rules from August 1st. Account balance check allowed only 50 times per day. Pending transaction status check allowed only 3 times. Minimum gap of 90 seconds between each check. Now, these are the rules that are come into play from August 1st. Payments through autopay to be done in 3 fixed time slots. EMIs can be deducted before 10 a.m. from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. or after 9:30 p.m. Users can view their transaction history only 25 times per app. Maximum of 10 payment reversal requests allowed in 30 days with a cap of 5 per sender. Objective of the changes is to reduce the load on the UPI system. Balance check and payment status check slow down the system. Millions were inconvenienced when 2 major outages occurred in March and April. The European Commission accused Chinese online shopping platform Temu of breaking its digital rules. Joining us with more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu in Berlin. Chiponda, what rules did Temu break?
Thanks for having me. Well, the European Union says that Temu isn't doing enough to stop illegal products from being sold on its platform. Now, the EU's Digital Services Act requires platforms to be able to manage the risks of illicit goods being distributed. The European Commission conducted a mystery shopping exercise which showed that consumers are very likely to find what Brussels called non-compliant products on Temu, and that included baby toys and small electronics, which would be unsafe for consumers. And these are just the preliminary findings of an investigation that Brussels launched into Temu last year. It is also looking into whether the platform's mitigation measures are effective, how it uses design features that could be addictive for online shoppers, the transparency of its recommendation systems, and its access to data for researchers. So more findings may be set to come from the European Union.
Chiponda, thank you for those updates. On to sports now. Asian Games champions Satvik Sairaj Ranika Reddy and Chirag Shetty cruised into the second round of Macau Open Badminton Tournament. Indian duo beat Luang Yi and Nang Eng Cheong of Malaysia 21-13, 21-15 in the opening round. Satvik Chirag started with high intensity and closed out the first game with ease. In the second game, the Malaysians tried to make a comeback, but the Indians string together 4 consecutive points to seal the match. In the women's doubles, Commonwealth Games bronze medalists Teresa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand suffered a shock opening round exit after losing 16-21, 22-20, 21-15 against the Chinese Taipei pair of Lin Xiaomin and Peng Yu Wei. The Indian football team has been handed a challenging draw alongside Japan, Vietnam and Chinese Taipei in Group C for the 2026 AFC Women's Asian Cup in Australia. India are set to make their first appearance at the tournament since 2003. Their best finish at the tournament came as runners-up in 1980 and 1983. The competition will be held from March 1st to 21st in Australia. China are the defending champion, as well as the most successful team with a record 9 titles. Divided into 3 groups of 4 teams each, 12 teams will compete in the group stage. The top 2 sides from each group, alongside the 2 best third-place teams, will progress to the quarterfinals. In cricket, India's batting coach Sudhanshu Kotak has revealed that world number 1 Seema Jasprit Bumrah is fit, but there have been no discussion yet regarding his inclusion in the playing 11 for the 5th and final test. Bumrah has been the best bowler for the Indian team in the ongoing Anderson Tendulkar Trophy. He has taken 14 wickets with 2 fifers at an average of 26 and an economy rate of 3.04. After the conclusion of 4 tests, the series remains alive, though India trail 1-2. Now both teams return to London for the final contest starting on Thursday. Top seeds Alexander Zverev of Germany and American Coco Gauff advanced to the 3rd round of the Canadian Open after both players were pushed hard by their opponents. World number 3 Zverev played his first match since the first round loss at Wimbledon was far from his best, but emerged with a 7-6, 6-4 win over Adam Walton in Toronto. Momentum shifted firmly in Zverev's favour when he won a 52-shot rally in the first set tiebreak, and he sealed the win on a double fault by Australian in the second set. Zverev next plays Matteo Arnaldi on Thursday. On the women's side, top seed Gauff was 2 points from defeat, but battled back to beat fellow American Danielle Collins 7-5, 4-6, 7-6 in a nearly 3-hour battle to reach the 3rd round French Open champion. Gauff overcame 23 double faults and 74 unforced errors to beat Collins in their first career meeting. At sunrise, dozens of balloons took off into the sky of Aiguille during the global gathering of hot air balloons in France. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Open your mind to a whole new world. Explore mystic wonders of nature in the forests.
तो मुझे देख के आपको लग रहा है कि मुझे इजी वाला देना चाहिए.
Uncover secrets hidden deep inside the earth.
And I'd always heard of this ancient Shiv Mandir which is inside a cave.
Experience the rich cultural legacy.
मुझे बताइए इस डांस फॉर्म के बारे में, इस आर्ट फॉर्म के बारे में.
Experience the blend of vibrant warmth